I was standing in line at a gas station, halfway through a long-haul route to Kentucky, when I saw the text from my little sister. Please don't come to the wedding, Eric. It's better for everyone if you stay away. Mom agrees. We just want a peaceful day. That was it. No sorry. No explanation. Just another digital knife to the back from the family. I'd done everything for .my name's Eric. I'm 37, a long-haul trucker based out of Chattanooga, Tennessee. I've hauled everything from frozen meat to airplane parts. I live alone in a small rented house near the rail yard. No wife. No kids. Just me, the road, and my beat-up golden retriever named Lucky that I've always been the quiet one. The dependable one. The one who showed up when the pipes burst, when someone needed help moving, when dad died and nobody else could handle the funeral. But somehow, in my family's eyes, I became the weird one. The failure. The outcast. The unmarried trucker. With dirty boots and no Instagram. And now? I wasn't even good enough to attend my baby sister's wedding. The thing is, this wasn't the first time it started with my brother's wedding 2 years ago. Kyle, the golden child, married his college sweetheart in a big vineyard ceremony outside Asheville. I bought them a $500 gift card, took time off from work, and even helped mom with the catering pickup. And then, day of the wedding, I wasn't in a single photo. Not one. Not the family shots. Not the group portraits. Not even the damn candid shots. It was like I didn't exist. When I asked mom about it, she shrugged and said, "Well, Eric, you weren't part of the wedding party. You just kind of blend into the background in those clothes." Right. Because I wasn't wearing a custom suit like Kyle. Because I showed up in a black shirt and tie and clean jeans after driving 14 hours straight. Then came the jokes. Quiet ones at first. About how I must be married to my truck. About how I never bring a girl around. About how maybe I don't like girls at all. At first, I laughed it off. I figured, it's just family being family. But it kept happening. Every holiday, every phone call, every group text. I became the punchline. Eric the loner. Eric the hermit. Eric the sad trucker. So when my sister Amanda got engaged, I held on to a tiny sliver of hope. Maybe she'd be different. We used to be close when we were kids. I taught her how to ride a bike. Took her to her first concert. Bought her a car when she turned 18. But then, she stopped replying to my messages. Said she was too busy with planning. I found out from a cousin she'd had 2 bridal showers. No invite. No mention. And now this text. Please don't come to the wedding. I stared at it for a long time in the parking lot. People came and went. My coffee went cold. Lucky whined in the passenger seat that I wasn't angry. Not at first. I was hollow. Like someone had reached into my chest and unplugged whatever was left that I called mom. She picked up after 3 rings. "Eric, I'm in the middle of something. Did you tell Amanda to uninvite me?" A pause. Then a sigh. "Honey, it's just that weddings are delicate. We don't want drama. You know how people talk. I haven't started drama in my life," I said. "You know that. Well, your presence is complicated. You make people uncomfortable." That's when something in me snapped that I wasn't the screw-up. I wasn't the problem. I was the scapegoat. They didn't want me there because I reminded them of everything they didn't want to be. Alone, working class, unfiltered as, I made a decision. If I wasn't welcome at their fairy tale wedding, then I'd show them what happens when the black sheep finally speaks. I can still feel the sting of that first exclusion, clear as the Tennessee morning air crawling through my cracked bedroom window. It was my 12th birthday, a backyard barbecue at mom and dad's house. My cousin Jake brought a skateboard. My sister Amanda showed off her cheerleading routine. My parents busied themselves grilling hot dogs and pouring lemonade. Me? I sat on the swing set bench, clutching a lopsided chocolate cake that tasted like loneliness. "Everybody's over there having fun, Eric," mom said, wiping her hands on her apron. "Why don't you join them?" I nodded, forced a smile, and dragged my feet across the grass. By the time I reached the other side, the laughter faded. Within seconds, I was on the outside again, excluded by invisible fences. Growing up, different, in our family meant you were branded. If you liked books more than sports, you were the nerd. If you liked quiet nights and more than parties, you were the hermit. If you weren't there to play the starring role, you were treated like a prop. Even a nuisance. In high school, I found solace in the school newspaper. I wrote articles about the football team, something to get a nod from coach, even if it was grudging. I volunteered for the janitor's night shift so I could read uninterrupted in the library. When I graduated, I'd collected more rejection letters than acceptance notes. Yet I kept my head down and moved on, because that's what I did. I kept going. My first real paycheck? $17 an hour driving a delivery van for a local grocery chain. I sent half of it home, for groceries, mom said, even though she never once stocked canned beans I liked. She thanked me politely, then glared at my bedroom door as if I was hiding contraband. College wasn't an option. I had bills and a mouth to feed. Lucky, my golden retriever, who tagged along to every shift. So I upgraded my van license to a CDL, leased my first rig, and hit the road. Every mile was a new horizon. Every load a reminder I was good at something. But every holiday was a replay of my 12th birthday. Text messages ignored. Wish you were here. Photos of reunions without me. Subtle digs disguised as jokes. Didn't know you had friends, Eric. That cut deeper than any blade that I tried to fight it. Once, I flew home for Christmas, suitcase in hand, no uniform. My family had exchanged gifts and sat around the fireplace by the time I arrived. I knocked. No one answered. I stood on the porch, the wooden boards creaking under my boots. Finally, Dad peeled himself off the couch, glanced up, and said, "You're a day late, son." In that moment, the hum of passing trucks on the nearby highway sounded louder than any laughter inside. I turned, suitcase still in hand, and walked away without a word. Over the years, the punches grew softer but more frequent. Amanda's subtle eye rolls when I talked about work. Kyle's smirk when I mentioned a vacation. I couldn't remember the last time I took one. Mom's sigh when I brought my paycheck home, yet I never let it break me. I worked harder. I saved. I bought Lucky a new bed when he chewed the old one into threads. I donated to charities at the end of each year. I sent Christmas cards to neighbors I barely knew. They looked at me like I was an alien. An oddity they couldn't categorize. Neither boastful nor pathetic, neither rich nor destitute. Just Eric. Then, a year ago, I got engaged to Lisa. That changed everything. Suddenly, I had a partner who saw me. Not the scapegoat. Not the weird one. Not the guy with dirty boots. Just Eric. When I mentioned Lisa's name in a family group chat, the response was radio silence. 2 emojis. An hour later, Amanda wrote, "Congrats, bro. No, we're happy. No, when's the date?" Just the bare minimum. That silence echoed louder than any insult that I realized then that I didn't crave their approval anymore. I craved respect. A simple nod that said, "We see you." But they just saw me as a checkbox. Add Eric, or don't add Eric. So I started saving screenshots. Every slight, every joke, every exclusion, and I began planning my moment. Not just a show of anger. Not just a shouting match. Something precise. Something that would force them to look in the mirror. They wanted me hidden. Invisible. But in my quiet way, I was building something bigger. A case file of every slight, every hurt. A record of who I was to them, and who I became without them. When that wedding invitation, or lack thereof, hit my phone, I didn't see betrayal. I saw confirmation. They were writing the final chapter, and I was going to rewrite it on my terms. I parked my rig behind a roadside diner just after midnight, phone buzzing in my pocket. It was a screenshot from Amanda's wedding Facebook album. There I was, shadowed in the distance, cropped out of every photo that I stared at that empty spot, where I should have stood beside my sister. My chest tightened. Not with anger, exactly, but with a fierce determination I'd never felt before. They thought I was invisible. That next morning, I brewed my 7th cup of coffee and spread my plan across the kitchen table. Lisa was already up, reading news on her tablet. I slid a binder in front of her. "What's this?" she asked, flipping it open. "Looks like lawsuit paperwork." "Close," I said. "It's our family history." Inside were printed screenshots. Every cold text, every group chat deletion, every mocking comment. "Mom's offhand, you'd be miserable" message. Kyle's, "Oops, I forgot to invite my own brother" birthday post. Amanda's half-hearted emoji reply to our engagement announcement. Each page felt heavy in my hands. Each line carved one. More reason why I'd stopped hoping for an apology. "You collected all this?" Lisa's voice trembled. "It's my proof," I said. "Proof that I mattered to exactly 2 people in my life, Lucky and you." She wiped a tear. "What are you going to do with it?" "I'm going to make sure they can't pretend I don't exist again." By noon, I'd booked the community center hall for our wedding reception. A modest space, white walls, folding chairs, an old projector. Nothing fancy. Perfect. I called my buddy Jake, who ran the AV company in town, and asked him to install a big screen. "Budget's tight, Jake," I said, "but I need their attention." He teased. "What? You gonna shred your family on loop?" "Something like that." I laughed. Over the next week, I edited a 10-minute montage. Clips of every wedding I'd been banned from. Photos of me standing alone by buffets, images of my empty chair. Text message exchanges with Mom begging to just talk, unanswered. Amanda's bridal shower invitations, photos tagged "Wish you could be here," with me nowhere and framed. I narrated over them in my rough Tennessee drawl. "This is me, Eric Thompson. I'm 37, a trucker, a son, a brother, and I was never welcome at my own family's celebrations." Recording my voice felt odd at first, but as I spoke, slow, steady sentences punctuated by clipped pauses, I felt something shift. I wasn't the scared kid on the swing set anymore. I was the man in control. Lisa helped me pick the playlist that would cue the video, soft acoustic guitar into hard-hitting drums. We decided to start the reception with a 3-minute welcome, laughter, toasts, light jokes, then let the screen slide up. "Make it a surprise," I told Jake. "Let them think they're here for me. Then hit M where it hurts." On the day I mailed out invitations, only to our chosen family, friends, neighbors, I made sure the community center address matched the note I sent to Mom. We'd love for you to join us. Love, Eric and Lisa. I knew they'd forward that note to the rest of the clan. I knew they'd show up expecting a last-minute change of heart, and I knew exactly how I'd greet them. But I also planned an olive branch tucked at the end of the montage. After all the hurtful posts and mocking emojis, I'd flash a final frame. I still love you. But love is an obligation. It's choice. My finger hovered over the send button on the digital RSVPs that I took a deep breath and hit send. That evening, I packed my truck for a final cross-country run before the wedding. As I backed out of the driveway, Lucky curled up in the passenger seat. He looked at me with wise eyes. As if he knew every scar I'd carried, I patted his head. Hang tight, buddy, I whispered. They're about to see me. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't waiting for an invitation, I was writing my own. I arrived at Maplewood Community Hall an hour before sunset. The parking lot was empty except for my rig and Lisa's Honda Civic. Inside, folding chairs faced a white sheet draped over a makeshift stage. A string of Edison bulbs hung from the beams, casting a warm glow. I checked the projector one last time. Jake had rigged it perfectly. The speakers were silent now, waiting. I wiped sweat from my brow and felt my heart hammer. This was it. The moment I forced them to see me. Lisa found me pacing by the entrance. Her hand slipped into mine. You ready? She whispered. I nodded, swallowing. Let's do it. Guests began filing in. Old coworkers, neighbors, friends from church. They smiled, clapped me on the back, asked how the rig was running. They didn't know what was coming. They only knew they loved me. At 7 o'clock sharp, my family rolled up. Mom stepping out of the minivan with her casserole dish, still insisting she belonged. Dad brushing imaginary lint off his suit jacket, jaw set. Amanda's heels clicking on the concrete, eyes darting. Kyle scrolling on his phone, bored. They walked in like regular invitees. No hesitation, no doubt. They found seats near the back, as if saving face. Mom gave me a tight smile. I nodded politely, sliding behind the lectern on stage. Lisa tapped the mic. I cleared my throat. Welcome, everyone. Thank you for coming. Applause rippled through the hall. A few light jokes. A toast to family, old and chosen. They laughed politely. Mom's lips stretched so thin I thought they'd snap. Then the lights dimmed. Jake hit play. The screen flickered to life. This is me, Eric Thompson. I'm 37. A trucker. A son. A brother. And I was never welcome. Silence. No one moved. First image. Me standing alone by a buffet table at Kyle's wedding. Caption. Not in any group shots. Mom's hand flew to her mouth. Dad's face drained of color. Next, Amanda's bridal showers. Balloons. Cupcakes. Me absent. Caption. 2 showers. No invite. Amanda pressed her lips together so hard I saw white. Then text messages. We don't want drama. It's complicated. Better if you stay home. My voice on the audio track cut through the hush. I never caused trouble. I only showed up. They winced. A cousin gasped. Lisa squeezed my hand. Montage sped up. Photos of me on the swing set at my 12th birthday. Lonely. Christmas. Morning, my knock unanswered. Screenshots of jokes at my expense. Eric the hermit, married to his truck. A clip of me proposing to Lisa in a motel parking lot. Over that, my voice softened. Then I found someone who saw me. The screen faded to black for 2 seconds. And then, the final slide. I still love you. But love is an obligation. It's choice. Silence. I could hear a pin drop. Mom stared at the sheet, tears brimming. Dad's fist clenched at his side. Amanda's mascara streaked. Kyle's mouth hung open like he'd swallowed gravel. Then a crackling sound. Mom's chair scraping as she stood. She opened her mouth, closed it, swallowed. No words came. Suddenly, Dad rose too, knocking into his chair. He took a trembling step forward. Eric. Voices rose behind him. This is a setup. You can't do this. We're family. But I didn't flinch. I let them protest. I let them feel the weight of every year's silence and every unspoken insult that I in. The back row, Uncle Jim dabbed his eyes. A friend of mine, Clarissa, stood and applauded softly. The contrast stung, chosen family cheering, blood family recoiling. I reached for the mic again. My voice was steady. That was my story. Now it's your turn. Just then, I heard it. The soft click of shoes leaving the floor. Some guests, my real family, stood to escort Mom and Dad out. Others filed out in shocked groups. Amanda, Kyle, aunts, uncles. A handful remained, unsure. Lisa rose beside me, raising her glass. I joined. Her glasses clinked, and as half the room emptied, I realized I was no longer trapped. No longer hidden. I was here. The hall was quiet after the half-empty crowd trickled out. Chairs scraped, echoing against the tiled floor. I stepped off the stage, legs still shaking from adrenaline. My real family lingered near the door. Mom's shoulders slumped, Dad's gaze fixed on the floor. Amanda hugging her arms tight, Kyle's jaw clenched. They looked lost. I paused beside them, heart pounding. For a moment, I wondered if I should say something, anything, but the words lodged in my throat. How could I summarize years of neglect in a single sentence? How could I forgive when every apology would feel like an obligation they'd never truly earned? Instead, I turned and walked back to the middle of the room, where Lisa and our friends were gathering. Their faces were soft with pride and relief. They didn't need an explanation. They knew the whole story now. They'd heard my voice. They'd seen my scars. They understood why I'd drawn lines I would never erase. That MY phone buzzed in my pocket. One message from Mom. Eric, I'm sorry. Please call me. A dozen others from extended relatives. How could you do this? You broke our hearts. Come home. I stood still, thumb hovering over the screen. Then I slipped the phone back into my pocket, because this wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. Later that night, we packed up the projector and cleared the tables. The community hall lights were harsh, and the cold hum of the air conditioner made my skin prickle. I found Dad waiting by my rig. He looked smaller under those fluorescent bulbs, like the suit he wore was swallowing him whole. Can we talk? He asked, voice cracking. I leaned against the cab, arms crossed. About what? About everything. He swallowed. I messed up. I never realized how much I hurt you. I want to fix this. I studied him. The man who'd taught me to drive a car. The man who'd paid for my first driving lessons but hadn't paid attention to my life. The man who'd blamed me for burdening the family. You can't fix this, I said quietly. Not with words. He nodded, tears pooling in his eyes. Then what? I shook my head. I don't know. He stepped back, defeated. I'll give you space. I love you. I watched him walk away. That was the closest I'd ever get to an apology. The next morning, I crawled into the cab. Lucky yelped at my boots. I sat in the driver's seat, stared out at the empty parking lot. I thought about what love really meant. Legally, they were my family forever. But emotionally, they'd given up their claim the day they shut me out. I started the engine and felt the rig rumble beneath me. Behind the wheel, I realized I wasn't driving away from them. I was driving towards something bigger, my own life. Free from the silent chains of their expectations. Before pulling onto the highway, I scrolled through my contacts. I blocked Mom's number. Blocked Dad's. Amanda's and Kyle's too. I didn't do it out of spite. I did it so their words couldn't find me anymore. So I could decide what messages I let into my world. As the rig rolled forward, the sunrise painted the sky pink and gold. I glanced over at Lucky, curled up on his blanket. His tail thumped against the seatbelt. He didn't need me to forgive anyone. He just needed me to be present. I flicked on the radio to my favorite station, classic country tunes drifting over the dashboard. The road stretched ahead. I exhaled, feeling lighter than I had in years. Behind me, my blood family was left with pages of facts and photos, a data file of their own making. They could apologize. They could try to mend fences. But the choice to welcome them back belonged to me alone, and I was in no rush. It was a crisp autumn afternoon when I realized the chapter was truly closed. I was pulling into my favorite rest stop off I-24, Lucky sprawled on the passenger seat, tail thumping against the window. My phone buzzed again, this time a group text titled Family Update. I glanced at it. Mom, Dad, Amanda, Kyle all typing at once. My heart fluttered for an instant. Old habits die hard. Then I locked the screen that I'd given them every chance. The montage, the olive branch, even. Dad's shaky apology beside my rig. But apologies without change are just words. So instead of answering, I forwarded their text to the trash. Deleted the chat. I stretched, stepped out into the cool air, and breathed in that Tennessee sky. The clouds looked like cotton spilled across blue. I walked Lucky down to the picnic tables by the creek, the gravel crunching under my boots. For years, I chased acceptance from people who never saw me. Now I chased sunsets with my dog and the open highway. A half mile down the road, I had something else waiting. A small sign tacked to the fence by my mailbox at home. It read, Fall Barbecue, Open House, All Welcome. I'd send invites only. To friends, neighbors, Lisa's family. But I left space for one more name. My own blood relatives. Should they ever grow up enough to cross the threshold. That evening, the barbecue was in full swing. Laughter around the smoker, the smell of hickory and ribs mingling with cider. Kids raced through fallen leaves, parents toasted marshmallows, and Lisa caught my eye with that smile that started it all. I lifted my glass. To freedom, I said. Everyone echoed it. Just after dusk, I saw headlights crest the hill. A rusty Camaro rolled in, Mom's old car. My pulse spiked. The door opened. Mom stood there, eyes rimmed red, holding a casserole dish like a peace offering. Behind her, Dad and the siblings clustered. They looked smaller than ever, faces a mix of hope and fear. I stepped off the deck, Lucky at my side. Heart pounding. I faced them. The only sound was the crackle of firelight and the hush of the creek. Mom swallowed. Eric, can we talk? She whispered. I held out my hand. Not to shake, but the one with the barbecue tongs. You can stay, I said, voice steady, but only if you let go of the past. Her shoulders sagged. Amanda's lips trembled. Kyle looked down. Dad nodded slowly, tears reflecting the flames. They stepped forward, and I led them to a fresh chair by the fire. No speeches, no grand gestures, just space to rebuild or to walk away if they weren't ready. That night, I learned something. Forgiveness doesn't mean returning to old patterns. It means choosing my own terms. Whether my family sat by that fire or drove off into the night was up to them. But I knew where I stood. Among people who saw me, respected me, and loved me for exactly who I was. As the embers glowed and Lucky curled at my feet, I tipped my head back and let the smoke rise toward the stars. The road behind me was littered with broken expectations and silent dinners. The road ahead gleamed, full of promise, highways, and quiet mornings with the only companion I'd ever truly needed. And for the first time, the last word in my story wasn't theirs. It was mine. That's the end of today's story. Did things turn out the way you thought, or were there some surprises along the way? Share your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to hear what you think. If you enjoyed this journey, don't forget to hit the like button. And if you haven't joined the community yet, now's the perfect time. Subscribe and turn on notifications so you're always the first to catch new stories. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next adventure.